Okay, good morning. I'm using my earbuds today, and that's because I have some workers that are supposed to be coming to the house, and so we want it to be not disturbing to you. So the only thing when I use my earbuds is you tend to hear whether I can breathe clearly through my nasal passages, and sometimes they pop out, but that's what we need to do today. So, whoops, not do that. So let's see, what will we be doing today? Whoops, there we go. We're going to be having a blanket, and if you don't have a blanket, a pillow rolled up or a towel, a yoga block possibly. So we're going to start standing and we'll do a little warm up. Then we're going to go right down onto the mat and do some inversions. So we'll have a blanket or a pillow under our hips and we'll put our legs up. We'll do a little bit for our backs and for our hamstrings there. So that is the plan. I'm glad that you got up so that you could do this little practice this morning. And I hope not to have any disruptions, but we shall see what we shall see. Namaste. Okay, so we start standing on our mat in a way that you can see me. And who knows how long you've been up or moving in your body. So we'll just simply stand with our feet maybe a little wider than our hips and begin shifting the weight from foot to foot. We don't have to be going to the same side at the same time. So you can see my heels lifting on one side, and you can let your arms stay by your side. Maybe inhibit some of the elements of mountain pose, the bandhas, the action of Uddiyana, the lifting of the chest. Relax your neck and shoulders. If you'd rather put your hands on your hips, I may do that just to show you what's happening with my hips. So I'm going to pause and go a little slower. As I go this way, you see I pivot on the ball of the foot, and then I go the other way and pivot on the ball of the foot that I'm leaving. So rotating and rotating. So if you saw my hips, you see that my hips are also turning. So there's no tweaking of my knee. I'm just going to get a little warmed up this morning. Maybe you're doing this practice in the afternoon. Okay, so the feet will stay just like that. I'll let my arms drop down by my side. And what you're going to see is the palm is down, then the palm is up. So it would be your right heel, your right arm, your left heel, your left arm. So I may be going too slow or too fast for you. So you just sort this out for yourself. There's a bit of a rotation. And then I'll move my arms a little bit more. So they go up a little higher. There's kind of a figure 8. And now I feel my breath weighing into my movement. And if your shoulders allow a little higher lift of the arm, and if you feel all discombobulated, then that's okay. You just kind of move it in a way that makes sense for your body. So I'll do one more to your right and one more to your left, and then pause here. Then I'll shift my hips from side to side. My knees will bend a little. Mula Bandha, the action of Uddiyana. So my hips are shifting from side to side. My weight is still shifting from side to side. Now I may want my feet to go further apart, or you may be fine just the way you are, but you see as my hips go to the right, my toes come up on the left, and then same thing other side. There's a tendency for the body to lean a little forward. If you notice that your back is speaking to you as you do that, brace with your hands on your thigh. Try not to lean too far forward. So again, moving at a pace that just allows you to feel a little bit of the inner thigh. I may be going further than you need to go, or you may need to go further than I'm going. This kind of waking up my inner thighs. Now, as I turn to that right leg, my toe is up, and I now face that leg, my hips will go back and my hips will come up, and I'll just stay on this leg. And again, take your time. Imagine I'm there pulling your hips back. You hinge forward. Any discomfort in the back can be mitigated by supporting the hands on the thigh. I'll do one more, and maybe I'll stay a little bit on this one. Maybe I'll just stay here. My hips going back, my chest going forward. And then roll myself up so I can go to the other side. The toe is up. I'm facing that extended leg. My hips will go back and forth. So you should be feeling this in the backs of your legs, the hamstrings. And maybe this one is the one that I'm going to just stay right here for. So I'm going to make a little adjustment here. There. So because I'm wearing the earbud, you don't get any background music, so feel free to put some on for yourself. Tighten your belly, come all the way up. Now, this is my favorite one, the hula. So again, Mula Bandha, action of Uddiyana. And I just move around, my sacrum goes, good morning to you. Then I'll go the other way a few times. And then as I bring my stance more into traditional Tadasana, and you can stand with those feet apart, or you can do the Iyengar style, a little more challenging with the inner edges of the feet together. It's a little less stable, but just suit yourself. Ground into the toes, the heels without gripping the toes, just feel the balance on all four edges of the feet. Let the arms extend to the sides of your space, crown of the head to the sky. Zip up your zipper, she said out loud to herself. Reach through the fingers, check that your shoulders aren't up. You may not see them, but you can feel them. If my hands came to your shoulders and softly told them to relax, they would draw down. So you feel a lifting of the ribs from the hips, a grounding of the feet into the earth. Now holding this torso just as it is, as I turn sideways, be careful that your hips aren't thrusting forward or leaning too far back. So sometimes if there's back issues, getting upright may be a little cranky. So see if you can support that back by zipping the zipper and basically feeling that your shoulders are over your hips. Turning the palms up, lift the heart, lift the arms, the extended mountain pose. You don't have to be looking upward. You can look more outward. And just because my arms went over my head doesn't mean that my hips changed. It doesn't mean that I've let them fall forward. I'm just reaching more skyward. Join the palms together. Float the hands into the heart. Bow the head a moment. Cultivate the attitude of gratitude. Can you feel the beating of your heart? So being thankful for this day and for this moment, I'm now going to grab my blanket. You can grab whatever you're going to have to put under your hips. Now my blanket is folded in thirds, but I'm going to fold it again so it actually rolls up a little bit higher. And that's where I'm going to put my sacrum right here. So anything that you have close to this, and then try not to use your hands as you go down. And then position yourself on your backs and give yourself all the time you need to get situated. Put your shirt where it should be. So I feel this is good. Wow, this is really good. My feet are parallel. My knees are also parallel. And then I'll bring the hands down by my sides. Now for me personally, when I get here, there's a lot of acclimation that I feel is happening in my spine. So I'm going to let that happen. And I've created a mild inversion. We would know this as supported bridge pose. Usually we do this toward the end of our practice, but we're going to do some inversions. I'm flipping things upside down, literally flipping things upside down. So now as I feel my body is getting used to this position, I'll take 3 breaths. Now I'm trying to use the nasal passages. You may be congested, so mouth is okay. At the close of your last breath, you're going to pick up a leg, doesn't matter which one. You're going to feel your weight shift a little bit more towards your shoulders. Then you can pick up the other leg. So my knees are up, and because my hips are elevated, it's kind of easy to do this. I feel my knees just want to fall down toward my chest. So I'm just going to let that happen, a low back stretch. Maybe I'll circle my feet around while I'm here. They can go the same way, they can go different ways. See if you can get your toes, your phalanges moving as well. Change the direction. Let's just hold one leg bent and let the other leg go up straight a few times. Straighten and bend, straighten and bend. Where it is, it doesn't matter. Your leg may be more out here. Your leg may be up. Your leg may even be going over. I don't know. So as I straighten the knee, and I really want to make sure it goes completely straight, my patella is flat. I feel the hamstring. I've pre-stretched, so it shouldn't be too bad. Let's do the other leg, straightening and bending. So this is a little different than that standing opening of the back of the leg that we did. It requires more musculature as you squeeze your thigh muscles. So now can we have both legs up comfortably? And you can have the feet apart or together as it makes sense to you. Remember, anytime you squeeze the legs together, you're actually supporting the back a little bit more, so if that's necessary. So I'm going to let my hands stay on my thighs. My hands are up here on my thighs. And let the weight of the legs fall toward my torso. And I'm controlling that with my thighs so they don't just go too far, too fast, too soon. If your hamstrings are available, you can slide the hands gently over the knees. Do you recognize this pose? It's Uttanasana, inverted Uttanasana, forward fold. If I were standing on my feet and bending my knees and trying to lay my body on my thighs, that would be this. It's a very different feeling when your back is supported and your hips are elevated. When you elevate the hips, that kind of takes the need to bend the knees off. Though if you're very, very tight in your hamstrings, you certainly could bend your knees a little bit to get those legs closer to your thigh. Some of you might feel like you'd like to weight into the back of the legs, so putting the hands around the legs and letting them feel a little heavier. Now the knees may want to bend, so if you can, keep them straight. If not, take a few breaths here. So just imagine you're standing up on your feet and you're folding over. So we'll be doing that when we get back up. Bend one of your knees in, hold onto that knee, let the other leg push outward, downward, but not onto the floor. So my goal here is to let that moving leg that's going down suspend. So if I actually relax it completely, it should not touch the floor. Now, if yours happens to, pull the knee that you're holding into your chest a little more. You see how that works? Pull the knee in, the leg goes up. So we're opening into the front of our thigh. So what would this be? This would be if you turned me over, I would be on this foot. I would be in a lunge, low lunge, or a high lunge for the crescent pose. So I should be feeling the hip flexor, the iliopsoas. Gently bend in that knee. Easy transition. Now hold the other leg that was just out. Put the other leg up. Let it slowly cascade out, over and down, hugging that knee in. Sometimes this can speak to your hips, so we're all made a little differently, and as we live in our bodies, they change differently, right? This is what we're finding out. Let the weight of that leg just hang. Nothing should hurt today. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. Find your breath. Go ahead and bend that extended leg up. Open the knees. The bottom of the feet are together. Here's where I can put my elbows here. And if this is a difficult position for you normally to get to because your hips are up, this could be a little easier for you. I'm kind of rolling a little bit side to side, applying pressure. And then for those who said, I have space and I have desire, so you could open your legs to the side. Again, this is going to be easier because our hips are elevated. And I'll bend in those knees, mindfully put one or both feet down at the floor, and my hands are down by my side. So I'm going to engage through my glutes, so squeeze my buttock muscles, leave my legs parallel, and see if I can lift off of that pillow. Now, if you have a pillow that's kind of folded over, it may try and spring open, so you could hold on to it if you wanted to. So I'm going to go into a bridge pose. I'm on my shoulders. This should not bother your neck. Maybe I put all my weight on one foot, so you see I'm lifting the heel of one foot. If your back says, I don't think so today, you're going to put both heels back down. But if you lift the one heel and your back doesn't speak up, then maybe go ahead, take that foot off so you're not resting. If you needed to, you could come down, but you're going to do a little more activation of the glutes. Put that foot down, pause, get back to 2 feet, supported, awareness, and breath. Raise the heel of the other foot. Just by lifting the heel up, it lets the back know I'm going to lift my foot, and it may not like that idea, so you don't have to lift the foot off. Again, if you end up falling down on your pillow or your blanket, it's okay. Now I'll put the feet down, and because my hips are up, I'm going to slide that blanket or pillow out from under my back, and then come down to the upper back. Ooh, pull in my belly and the lower back. In a very gentle way, we're going to roll to our sides and come up to a seated position. Watch your blood pressure as things change a little bit. You're welcome to sit on your blanket or your pillow, whatever you might have. I think I'm just going to scoot mine off to the side. So here we are. I'm in Sukhasana, a comfortable pose. That means my ankles are crossed and I'm holding on to my knees and I'm lifting my chest. This is my seated cat and cow. So drawing in through my navel, bowing my head, broadening through my shoulders, and then using my hands, bringing that chest forward, a little bit of a curve, a little bit of a lift of the chest. Breathing out and breathing in. Good. So I've got some warmth going on in my back. I'll turn sideways so you can see what's happening. Drawing back. My hands are right there on my legs to lend support. So as long as we're doing this whole back, let's go into a little bit of hip stuff too. All right, so as you're facing me, let's take your right leg, and if we use the same legs, the reference is easy for everyone to follow. You can use the edges of your mat. Now I'm facing the long end, but it won't matter if you're on the short end. But take your right leg, put the knee, the shin, the ankle, all the way down the edge of your mat, and then flex that foot. And then the left leg, as you lean over to your right hand, that left knee is going to go down at the heel of your right foot. And then as you look at that foot, the foot isn't out straight and it isn't into your bum. It's an in-between place. So my knee is at my heel, my shin parallel to the other edge of the mat, and then my foot goes back. So this is me facing you. Then rather than being leaned over, I'm going to try and come up and then lean a little forward. Now, it may be necessary to take this knee and slide it back a little bit so that you can get more forward. So if you need to put a little space between, if I turned sideways, you can see there's a little space between my knee, or you could be here. So wherever you feel you can. If you needed to stick that blanket or pillow under your right hip, you could do that. So then it's this foot that's not in toward my bum, it's out. Scoot over a little bit. That foot is going to lift a few times. It may not even come off the floor, but the intention makes one particular muscle in your bum around your hip work. So I'm going to lift and lower just the lower leg. I haven't done this one for a while, and I was feeling a lot of benefit for my backs and hips by doing this. Just lifting and lowering. Check in with your breath and your bandhas as always. And then pause. As you shift back onto your right hand, take the leg that you were working behind you, bring it up, drop down the hip. As you drop down and sit, the other knee may come up, that's okay. So I'll turn back and face you so I'm here. And then hold on to that left leg with your right hand. Get very, very tall. Left hand goes behind you, left shoulder turns back, and now we'll just do an easy twist. Come back and we'll set up on the other side. So now present your left leg along the edge of a mat, knee, shin, ankle, flexed foot. Other knee parks at the heel, shin goes down, or if you know you might need a little space, it goes back. It's easy to sit over on your left arm, but I need for you to lean more forward. I find this side is easier for me. I don't know why. And then I'm going to lift and lower that back foot. Now, if you put your hand into your bum and poked around, you would feel certain things moving. I always find that interesting, but that's just me. So as I lift up that foot, I've targeted a particular muscle in my glute, because nothing else really can do this. Nothing else can take over. Still breathing. Action abundance, always helpful. Couple more. And as I shift over the weight onto my left, that makes it a little easier. I can bring my right leg up and just set it in front of my shin. Sit down on my bum and get nice and tall. I'll spin around so you can see now. Right foot in front of the left shin. Hold on with your left hand. Get very, very tall. That's important. Right hand behind. Draw the right shoulder back and then just look off to the side. And breathe. So the question might become standing up. We always try and stand up without our hands. So what if I did it this way? What if I left my foot this way, shifted my weight forward? Does that work? It may not, depending on your hips, depending on your knees. Because then once you get up there, then you can get up. You could do the two ankles crossed, shift up, stand up. I don't know. As you need to, get yourself up, stand all the way up. Make sure your props are cleared off. And sometimes people like blocks. So if you want a block, place it at the end of the mat that we're going to be doing our practice from. So we know the bird dog. Stay up for a minute. This is our bird dog. We know this one, right? Bird dog reaching, bird dog tucking. So we're going to do that in a standing fashion today. So balance, but we'll get there on our own terms. So step on up to the front of the mat and establish Tadasana. Toes, heels, outer inner edges of the feet. Engage the inner thighs, bandhas. Now, some people like to relax the arms, but I find when I look at people that relax their arms, they also relax everything. So I like a more vibrant Tadasana. And then gaze into your space. Hold on to all the elements. Let the arms rise up in front. Exhale, bend the knees, tip forward, let the arms go all the way back. It's kind of like a ski jumper, right? Bandhas and breath. Back to extended mountain. Careful the hips don't move forward. And back. So instead of arms going overhead, this time I'm going to let my arms go forward and then drop down. And then come forward. Now I'm going to start adding some legs. When I'm up, one foot taps back on the floor. The leg is straight, the arms are forward. It may make you feel more comfortable to lean a little bit forward. When you come back, you're going to move those hips and arms back behind you. Coming up, you're going to switch and do the other leg. An element of balance, right? So squeeze the glutes, extend the hip, the arms are forward, the bandhas and breath are right with you. Let's do a few rounds of this. It may get a little wobbly, but that's the point, to challenge our balance. Stay with your focus, be with your breath, really work from our glutes, which we have fired up, and they're ready to go, is the saying. So next time, opposite arm will go forward, other hand of the leg going back will be on the hip. So pause here for a moment. The leg going back has a hand on the hip. The arm going forward is the opposite arm. And then back. Now you go the other side, arm forward, squeeze the tush, hand on hip. Let's go ahead and continue. Let the body learn the pattern, and then work on all the elements of the pattern. How is your breath supporting the work? Now, instead of going into that squat, I'm just going to come center. So I've taken the squat, or the bending of the knees, out of it, and I'm squeezing the glutes, opposite arm going forward, hand at my hip. With the hand at my hip, it really identifies that I'm not turning the body, so I'm staying forward. Go ahead and play with this one. Maybe an inhale as you extend, an exhale as you come back. So maybe you can guess where we're going next. Instead of the back leg actually tapping on the floor, I'm going to eventually take the weight out of the foot so you can let it just float a little above the floor. Let your body learn how to accomplish that mission. Remember, if your back is feeling like there's a little bit much, lean forward a little bit, and that might help it. But keep your zipper zipped. Take as much time on each leg as you need. Maybe lift the leg a little bit higher. So now we're going to play with it some more. This is a little coordination, so focus. You're going to leave the foot back, hold it here. Then you're going to bring the arm and the knee in as you look down, tighten through the belly. So my elbow pulls into my side and my front knee is bent and my toe is tapping. Then I'll go back again, then I'll come together to switch sides. So as I tap foot back, arm extends. Then as I touch in, tighten my belly, open back out again so that I can go to the other side. Let's address the breath. Inhale, I open. Exhale, I close. Inhale, I open. Exhale, switching sides. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Inhale, open. Exhale, switch sides. What if I didn't touch the floor? Inhale, open. Exhale, close. I could touch it in front, but maybe not in back. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. So floating the leg back, squeezing the buttock muscles, touching the toes, I draw in. And then I bet you can figure out that last variation should you feel ready for it. Breathing in, arm and leg lift. Exhale, bringing the knee in, not letting it touch. Inhale, extending back. Switching sides. How's it going? Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. Elements of balance. And drawing in. So it's really the core where you get your balance from. So zip that zipper. Let's do one more time each side. Remember, you can touch the floor either behind you or by your side, or you can float it. And here's your last time. And as you come back to Tadasana, open the feet to the edges of the mat. Do a little hula, because it is back work. Yeah, that's just what the bird dog is. Go the other way. So with the hands behind you, grab the hands or lace the fingers. Straighten your elbows. You can have a little softness in the knees. I prefer a straight leg. Lead with the heart, not with the head. As I hinge over, letting the hands come up off my back, bowing my head, looking through my legs, and see if you're leaning into your toes. See if you can lean into your toes a little bit. Bring the hands on your thighs, turn your heels inward, begin to bend the knees into a modified squat. Now, if you had a block up here and you wanted to stick it back and you could safely sit on it, because sometimes that doesn't go right, or you can bring your hands down, or you can support yourself. See if your hips can come all the way down. And ideally, the heels would be down, but that doesn't work for everybody. Because we've done some warm-up, this is more available. I was trying it this morning and I couldn't get my heels down. I was just feeling a little tight. Shifting my weight forward, use your hands if necessary. Spin the heels outward. Lean into your toes, rocking perhaps a little front and back. So if you had a block, that might be a little bit easier for you to access the ground. Shifting a little from side to side. Oh, that feels interesting. My legs again are as straight as possible. And let's do this forward fold with hands behind the legs. So remember when we were laying on our backs, hips elevated, I said that was forward fold. My legs are apart. I've put the hands on my calves. I'm going to use the hands to pull my body closer to my thighs as I look through my legs. Lean into the hamstrings, breathe. Notice the pressure building up in your head. This time when I bend the knees, I'm going to put the hands down on the mat, palms or knuckles, and walk my feet back until I come to my plank position. Loading my shoulders over my hands, taking my focus forward, imagining I'm holding a pillow or a block between the legs. So if you cannot do the palms, knuckles with your thumbs forward, a fair option. If that doesn't feel very good to your wrist, you can always do a low plank on the forearms. So you be you. If at some point, instead of being on the knees, you need to on the toes, you can put your knees down. Get back with your breath. So from wherever you are, you're going to bring a right knee up to your right wrist and then put it back, and left knee up to your left wrist. If you're on your forearms, you're not going to be able to do quite that, but you can bring the knee out to the side and out to the side. So let's just do a few rounds of that. Then I'll meet you at child's pose. Of course, your breath is going to be important here, isn't it? Okay, let your knees come down. Let the feet come more together and the knees apart. Here we come into our child's pose. So you might want the hands under your forehead. You might want the hands extended. Might want your hands behind your head in prayer. Kind of notice that you may have accelerated your heart rate. We're going to come up into our first downward dog. Hamstrings might be ready for this, so I spread out my fingers. If again you can't be on palms, be on knuckles with your thumbs forward. Come up onto your hands, turn the toes under, lift up the hips. You may be just fine with your feet where they are, or you may want them a little further forward. Feet are not together or apart. You're going to feel the heels sink as you lift your tailbone up and wrap your elbows in. Gaze at your thighs. Imagine I'm standing behind you, lifting your hips up for you, because that would make it so much easier for your shoulders. If straight legs aren't working, try bending your knees. Raise the heels, bend the knees, sit back, look forward on your own terms. You walk, you step, or jump right up to the front of your mat where your hands are. Lay the body on the thighs, lift up the chest, put the hands on or around your calves, and keeping that connection of body to thigh, bow over and try and draw together. Bend the knees, release the arms. Now be aware blood pressure can be an issue here, so you return to that extended mountain pose. Always better to sit down than to fall down. Bend the knees, bring the arms in front of your chest. Shift your weight a little forward. Zip your zipper, lend support to the back. Right foot, let's all do the same foot. Right foot goes back and you see it wiggles and wiggles and wiggles. As you stand up, open the arms to the side. We come to the crescent pose. Squeeze the back leg straight. Keep the front knee bent above the ankle. You are at hip distance apart, so I did not step back onto a tight wire. Bend the arms like cactus and continue the arms, keeping your head up. Breathe. See if the hands can go behind the head. You're welcome to lace them or just clasp them. Push the head gently into the hands, so I know that your body is really perpendicular instead of leaning forward. So a little more back strengthening. Squeeze the back knee. Release the arms, let them come down to the mat. So there's your low lunge. Step back into your plank or your push-up position. From knees, toes, chin up, elbows in, lower yourself onto the floor and relax the toes. Baby cobra, cobra, up dog. Exhale down. Toes under, hips up from knees or from toes. Keep the hips up as you press off the mat, back to that downward dog. Make your feet comfortable. If you're on the palms, press down into the pads of all the fingers, particularly the first finger and thumb. Raise the heels, breathe in. Bend the knees, breathe out, look forward, and then walk your feet up to the hands. Drop the hips, lift the chest, come into a bind, forward fold, breathe out. Standing up, breathe in. Hold the arms up. Careful your hips haven't thrust forward. Stay strong through your back. Release the arms in front, bend the knees, shift forward, left foot steps back, hip distance, wiggle, 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 go deep, go long. Visualize front knee over ankle, back leg straight as you stand up, arms out. Big opening on the back side of the left leg. Squeeze that left leg. Bending the elbows. Moving the hands behind the head. Pressing the head gently into the hands. Kind of feeling the dynamics grounded into the feet. Lifting the spine out of the pelvis and breathing. Release the arms out. Hands come to the floor. Step your front foot to the back. From knees or toes, chin up, elbows in. Down you go. Relax the feet. Up you go. Down again. Turn the toes under, lift the hips up, press yourself up off the mat, downward dog. Stand on your left foot, lift up your right leg, three-legged dog. Stand on the right leg, lift up your left foot, three-legged dog. Stand on both feet, raise up your heels, breathe in. Bend the knees, sit back, look forward. Walk stepper, jump up to the front of the mat. This time as you bend the knees, put the hands on your thighs. Bow the head, round back, tighten the belly. Mindfully roll yourself up, because that should feel good. Thumbs at the small of the back. Looking down, push your hips forward a little bit. Draw the shoulders back. Travel your eyes up the wall or whatever space you have, looking outward or looking upward. And returning to Tadasana. And we're going to come down on the mat and work on our pigeon pose. I think it's pronounced pigeon, because with a French accent it's better. And I'm going to show you today how a blanket or towel can be helpful to access it without pain. Now, it's not always something that I do because there's a lot of complications to it. So there's my hip elevator. So the traditional pigeon pose is where you're on the floor and you have your knee in front bent, like kind of when we were doing that hip thing, but that back leg is straight and you turn this way. So in that regard, knees might not be really happy, which is why I most often do this one for you. Either this, or I think last week we did this. So, or sometimes you can do a seated version of this. So the objective is to just put a little more range of motion in those hips. And as we all know, the hips and the backs have very special relationship. So we're going to use this to kind of help mitigate the amount of space that you may or may not have. So use whichever leg is going to make sense for you so that you can see me. You can put your blanket or pillow here and then put one leg over the front. So I have my foot in front of the blanket and my leg is parallel. Now what this also does is prevent this foot, because when everybody does this, their foot ends up back here. It just does. So this will actually train you to be in proper form. And then right now I'm kind of comfortable. I'm leaning off to one side. My back leg is fine. What's going to happen is going to leverage my arm strength. As I shift my weight forward onto that front leg, I turn over. So the back knee, you see there's kind of a lunge. There you go, see? And then I will drop down and my hip is actually on the blanket. And my hands are in front. So if I were to come upright, my knee is down, my heel is up, and my foot is here. if I didn't have this blanket, some people's pelvis can come all the way to the floor and some people's just float. So what they end up doing is flipping over to the side and they miss all the elements of the hip opening on the front leg. So see if you can get yourself with that front leg aligned and the back leg straight. And I know it might be hard for some of you to be up on your hands like this. So just get where you can and then slowly lay your belly towards your calf, the arms walking outward. You do not have to lay down. You may not want to lay down. You may get to some point and say, I'm good right here. You may make it to your elbows. You may make it to your hands. Again, we're not looking for pain, but a little discomfort does move us down the road a little better. Take in the sensations as they manifest to you. See how you can support those sensations of ooh by breathing, by activating your bandhas, by relaxing through your neck and shoulders. Have the awareness. If you did come down on your hands, I'd like for you to come back up, shift over onto that front leg side, and for some, if you're on the pillow or blanket, maybe go all the way off, just kind of scoot yourself all the way off so there's no tension, and then you can drag your back leg up. Now that's with the blanket. That was really good for me. I'm going to set up on the other side without it, just so I can show you what that looks like and the pitfalls. So here's my front leg. I'm sorry, my legs are the same color as my yoga mat, so it makes it difficult. But this is what we did kind of earlier. So I have my front leg parallel. I stretch my back leg straight. I shift over until the back knee is down and I'm up. Now this is where most people's foot, if there's no blanket there, kind of tucks in here because it takes the stretch out of the hip. So you want to be here. And on the other side, I was up here. So now my hip can touch down and then I would go forward from there. So I'm going to use the blanket because I thought that was a good feeling for me on the other side. I'm going to repeat it on this side. So get yourself set up. If you're using a blanket or a pillow, shin in front of it, lean way off, back leg straight, can probably do this. Use your hands and leverage yourself up onto the blanket or the pillow. Feel that your back leg hip points down rather than off to the side. And then pause there. Yeah, how's that? Laying your belly towards your calf. Bringing your arms forward, maybe to the floor, maybe not to the floor. I don't know, you have to sort it out. No pain, but it might be uncomfortable, just saying. And see what this side offers you. Is there more ease or grace? Is this the tighter side? We all know there's one side that's just a little different from the other. Find your breath. Be aware of your bandhas, softness through your shoulders. Making your way back up to your hands. Carefully shifting off, either onto your hand or off of your pillow or blanket so that you can move it. Drag the back leg around, and then we'll sit with our feet extended. I know, slow moving. I'm slow moving. As I sit in what's called the staff pose, this one's not that hard, but it can weigh on you. So I'm going to sit on the mat, but you may want to go back and bring that pillow or blanket under your hips. I'm going to do this weird thing where I move my buns away. I reach in and move the fleshy part of my skin back. It gives me a better presence of my bones. And then I'm going to look at my legs so that they come out of my hip bones. So for most women, putting the feet together narrows that and puts more pressure in the back. So you may feel a little better with your feet parallel. Those toes stay up. Mula Bandha, check. Uddiyana action, check. Knees can be a little soft. They don't have to be flat down, but you just don't want them too bent. This is why you would have a blanket so you could have straight legs. Arms extend straight and then come down by your side. Now, if you have a blanket or a pillow, you want that back here so those arms can come down. Dropping the shoulders, straightening the elbows, gaze at your extended toes, and breathe. This is the staff pose. Last few breaths on your inhale. Feel your spine lifting, fighting gravity. Exhale, really draw in through the action of Uddiyana. And now you can relax. So I'm going to scoot up because I'm going to be going down to the floor. I'm going to be rolling down my spine. Feel free to hold on to the back of the legs or not. See if you can articulate the spine going down little by little. Squeeze your legs, bandhas, bandhas. And I'll stop my arms above my chest and bend my knees. Slightly nod the chin, and if you find that's difficult to do, it might be appropriate to put the low side of the pillow under your head or a towel. Feel the heaviness of the shoulders. Lift one heel up so just the toe is touching. And notice as you do that, there's some recruitment down in your lower belly. So bandhas are really important, and that neutral spine. So I've not asked you to push your back down. I've just asked you to tighten the belly so much that I could sit on your belly. Can you also lift the other heel up? So just your tippy toes are on the mat. So leaving my arms above the head, we'll deal with them in a moment. Above my chest, we'll deal with them in a moment. Stretch one leg out and touch the toe back. Zip your zipper, relax your shoulders, extend the leg, you're going to breathe out, and then bring it back, you're going to breathe in. My toes are touching, but they're very light. I always think I'm doing this with little chicken eggs under my toes or under my feet, and I don't want to squish them. Now you may notice that your low back is trying to pull up. Keep pulling the belly in, but you don't have to press the back down. That would change your neck. It does for most people. Now here's where the coordination comes in. Whichever leg is going out, the other arm will go overhead and return. So you'll use the breath out, opposite arm, opposite leg. It's like an inverted, upside down bird dog, isn't it? Now, once you have the pattern, maybe slow it so you stay for the full exhalation and return back on the inhale. If at any time this really feels like, ooh, this is getting a little challenging, my low back just can't manage this, put your feet down and just carry on. you'll get a little more support for your back, and you'll build to this point where you maybe can do this from your toes. So play with it. Pandas and breath. Right about this time, both of your feet come down, let both of the arms stretch up over. If you can, turn the palms up and just notice. It's like maybe there's something over your head. So can both of your arms touch the floor? Not everybody's can. Do you feel that extra curve in your back? Can you mitigate that by tightening your belly? Yeah, so how's that? Does that change things in your neck? Does that bend your elbows? Are your arms still overhead? Is one shoulder different than the other? Inquiring minds want to know. Slide your legs outward, being careful that this will put more pull and arch in your back. Most people like it though. So I'm not pushing my back down, but I do still have some context of the action of Uddiyana. Raising the arms up, bring your right knee into your chest. Hold the right knee with the left arm, reach the right arm to the side. Just carry that leg across as you continue looking to the right arm, the right knee coming across to the left. Delight in your breaths. Bring the knee back center as both hands come to the knee. Lift the head to the knee and the knee to the head. Head goes down, foot goes down. Breathe in, left knee draws in, holding it with both hands. Breathe out, left arm to the side. Look at the left arm, carry left leg across the body with the right hand. Stay here for a few breaths. Just think of the breath, the response of the body. Returning the knee to your chest, both hands upon that knee. Lift your head to your knee to your head. This time, stay up, bring both knees up. Slowly lower the head. Circle the knees around. My knees are together. I'm holding them together with the pressure of my hands. Go the other way. Now, keeping those knees together, open your arms out to the side of a T. Keep the knees together and the feet not to the bum, but a little more outward as those knees fall together toward the elbow of the direction they're going. Feet coming down. So a little more opening into the anterior of the shoulder that you're leaving behind. To get to the other side, lift the top leg first, followed by the second leg. Now you're on your back again. Again, the knees are together. I have to scoot over. I'll run into the fireplace. So I'm going to let the knees fall. My arms are in that T shape up toward my elbow or the arm as both knees come down. The feet are not, they're outward. Breathe in and make sure that knees are stacked. Sometimes the top knee kind of hangs back, so keep it right over the other knee. Now you can just bring the arm up and push yourself up to a seated position, or you can roll on your back and roll yourself up. I don't know, you be you. Before we move into Shavasana, I'm just going to do a little bit for the neck so you can get comfortable. If you'd rather go to a chair, I'm just going to stay here. You can sit on your knees. So let your head turn from side to side. And sometimes if you listen, you can hear things in your neck popping and cracking. And now with your head forward, let your ear drop from side to side. Now I'm leaning a little back. My hands are holding my knees, and as I lean back a little bit, I get a little extra stretch as it anchors the shoulder. So you may want that feeling, or you may not. You may just feel tight enough that you don't need any extra. Check your jaw is relaxed. Now moving your chin toward one armpit, holding it there. Up, Uddiyana action, Mula Bandha. Maybe lean back a little bit, chin is down. Chin to your chest. Chin to the other armpit. Chin back to your chest. Bring yourself upright. Roll those shoulders around. So before we move into Shavasana, let's do a little bit for our feet. So you may want to go to a chair. I can access my feet by sitting like this. You may want to lean back and get something. So just bring a little warmth to your feet. What do they say? Cold feet, warm heart. Or is it cold hands? Anyway, cold extremities, warm heart. So I'm just bringing a little warmth into my phalanges, into my tootsies here. So there is a whole massage called reflexology. I've never studied it. I've looked at the pictures of it, where the bottom of your foot correlates to the rest of your body. So like I think under your toes is your sinuses. I could be wrong on that. So now I want you to work with one of your hands and just rub your thumb across the base of all of your toes. You know, if you do this with a baby, I used to do mom and baby exercise and prenatal exercise in another part of my life. And we do this with the babies. And when you do this to the babies, their toes fan. Now, for us with time, the feet get a little funky, so there could be issues going on. Now, if you can, with your thumb, I prefer to use a knuckle. You're going to press down right through the middle of your foot. So right down your foot. Now, as you get to the arch of your foot, that could be a little, so you really want to push, and then really do want to push, and really do want to push. And sometimes there's a response of, and you ease off, but you stay. Still breathing. Eventually end up at the calcaneus, the heel bone. And then you can play a little patty cake with the foot so we can go over to the other side. So I don't often spend time on our feet, so you can remember this one, come back to this video and use it again. All right, switch legs. Again, sit in any fashion that your feet are available. Pretty much just warm them up. Could you do this with your socks on? Sure. Could do this if you want to put your socks on. You could do it with your socks on. And then you're going to rub your thumb across the base of each one of the toes. So I think the middle or the bottom of your foot is a correlation to your spine. But again, you could just look that up. Used to be you had to go to the library to look up that stuff, but now you can just check it online. Always correlate and make sure you get a couple of sources. All right, now I'm going down the bottom. You can either push with your thumb. Again, I like to use knuckles. Press and breathe. Hold for an instant and move on. Sometimes when you press, it's a little zinger, so you don't press as hard, but you, ooh. Rest of you is breathing. Should be getting down toward the heel of your foot. And then patty cake. So if you want to lay in Shavasana with your feet all nice and warm, you should put your socks on if you haven't already. You can put a blanket over you. You can lay with something under your knees. That's always very nice for the back. Or you can lay with your knees bent. So if I were a skeleton, you could take my bones and position them like this, and then I wouldn't need any muscles, ligaments, or tendons. And then some people just like their legs out here. So how you lay in Shavasana, and that would include being on your stomach or laying on your side, is up to you. So this is the time you do nothing. And because I don't hear any noise, I'm going to remove my headphone. And now you just come to your breath. Feeling the weight of the body resting on the earth. The heaviness of the head, the relaxed face, the shoulders, the torso, the hips, the legs, and the feet, resting on Mother Earth. We give ourselves this time because when else are you going to do this? Consciously relax without trying to go to sleep. And relaxing the body after a little practice of yoga may be easy. And then it opens the floodgates to the mind. We call it monkey mind. And so if that is an issue for you, as it is for me, maybe you want to wander into nature, go to the desert, the mountains, the ocean, sit by a river, in a meadow. Find a place that lifts your spirit, keeps you away from those life issues that ultimately, really, do they mean that much? Wait in this quiet until I ring the singing bowl, and let this time be yours. And so the singing bell welcomes you back. Draw in a deeper breath, wiggle your fingers and toes. Feel free to stay as you are, roll to your side, and I have our thoughts. Anatole France said, "To accomplish great things, we must dream as well as act." So we can walk through every day doing what needs to be done at home and at work, and it's not a bad life, and it's the life most of us lead. We leave a legacy of love and effort, and there's nothing wrong with this. But those who are not afraid to dream go beyond this, far beyond this. Their actions follow the path of their dreams. The combination of dream and action opens the way for amazing adventures in science, art, and culture. And so we know that we are good people and we're good at getting things done. But maybe we don't always give ourselves the time to dream, and so I may not be brilliant, but I will give myself this chance to see what dreaming brings into my life. So with that said, bring yourself up to a seated position, sitting yourself mindfully. So we try and always keep the tension out of our neck and shoulders, be aware of our bandhas, to lend support to our backs. And take a little time for ourselves. So as those arms stretch out to the side and lift up above and into our heart. This is where we share the word, meaning the goodness in me honors the goodness in you. Namaste. I thank you for giving yourself this time for practice. I look forward to when we can do it again. We do have these in recording, so look for it coming to an email box of yours soon. Have a good rest of your day.